kidnapped her. Please get there now.
They're on their way. What's your daughter's name, Miss Karen?
Holly Bobo.
Okay, Miss Holly.
In 2011, the disappearance of Holly Bobo shook the small town of Parsons, Tennessee. For years, the entire community searched for the 20-year-old nursing student. It wasn't until 3.5 years later that she was found, dead and decomposed. 3 men were held accountable for her death.
They are known troublemakers who are known for dealing drugs.
Zach Adams was convicted of the kidnapping, rape, and murder of Holly. He was sentenced to life in prison plus 50 years. His brother Dylan Adams admitted to police that he raped Holly and witnessed her murder.
Before long, Dylan, who's got some cognitive deficits, has begun to tell them some things.
Was Holly Bobo kidnapped? Was she raped? Raped by you?
He was sentenced to 35 years. Their friend Jason Autry was the star witness at Zach Adams' trial. Autry said he helped dispose of Holly's body and told a jury that Zach Adams fired the shot that killed her.
Boom. The gun went off.
Autry pleaded to a lesser charge and was sentenced to 8 years. Zach Adams always maintained that he had nothing to do with Holly's death. Now, 14 years after Holly's murder, the case back in court. The now 41-year-old granted a hearing that could possibly lead to a new trial.
We're talking about a hearing that produces new evidence that should fundamentally change the outcome of the case. And that's a hard standard to achieve.
Zach Adams' defense says they have newly discovered evidence, surveillance images never shown at the original trial, which they say contradict the prosecution's timeline of events.
We will prove by clear and convincing evidence Zach Adams was actually innocent of these charges.
The defense presents 2 pieces of evidence. One, a video from an ATM machine outside a gas station time-stamped at 11:12 a.m. on the day Holly was kidnapped. It showed a silver truck similar to the one that Zach's brother Dylan owned.
Who was in the truck with you that day?
Me, my brother, and Shane Austin.
Then, a photo of Dylan Adams inside that gas station just minutes later.
I just wanted to pay for gas.
At the hearing, Dylan Adams also recanted his 2014 confession to police.
Did you have any part in the abduction, raping, or killing Miss Bobo?
No, sir.
When you have these time-stamped, objectively true pieces of evidence, the state's timeline, as articulated through Jason Autry and other witnesses, can no longer be true. So it creates a real break in Zach's case to demonstrate that perhaps he is actually innocent.
If you had video evidence that definitively showed that they couldn't have been at the scene at the time of the crime, that would be very powerful. Prosecutors say you can't even see all 3 of them in the footage.
Zach Adams' new hearing bringing renewed attention to the 14-year-old case of Holly Bobo. April 13th, 2011 was a typical weekday morning in the small town of Parsons, Tennessee. Holly was home studying for a test. A short while later, Holly Bobo was heard screaming by a neighbor. Holly's brother Clint was home, but he says he was still sleeping. He woke to the family dog barking.
As I was approaching that window, I heard people talking, voices. It was Holly and a man in camouflage who I identified as Drew, who is her boyfriend.
But there were some things that Clint didn't know that his mother knew. Drew was at least 30 minutes drive away.
I would say like 20 seconds later, well, I received a phone call from her. She says, call all the neighbors. Oh my God, Clint, that's not Drew.
I said, that's not true. Get a gun and shoot him.
And I said, so you want me to shoot Drew? And I think that's when she must have hung the phone up.
I just hung up, and I collapsed to the floor.
Despite the intense search for Holly, the trail goes cold. Investigators focus on a group of suspects. Then, in the fall of 2014, the moment Holly's parents had been dreading.
The 3-year and 5-month search for Holly had come to an end.
Holly's skull was found with a single gunshot and with some of her possessions, her homework, sandals, and promise ring from her boyfriend.
It was just a miracle she was found.
Weeks after Holly's remains were found, Dylan Adams confessed to her murder.
You withheld information. That ain't how this works.
Prosecutors take this to trial with the confession from Dylan Adams.
Zach was the one that the state of Tennessee thought was the most culpable, so they chose to try him first.
Chilling testimony today in the trial of Zach Adams.
On day 4, prosecutors put their star witness on the stand, Jason Autry, who initially told police he had nothing to do with Holly's abduction.
Innocent man falsely accused.
Changed his story.
Jason Autry testifies that he and Zach Adams brought Holly Bobo here to this long, winding dirt road that runs along the Tennessee River.
And then he says they took the body, wrapped in a blanket, and laid it on the ground.
I told him, I said, this is still alive.
Autry says he keeps a lookout while Zach gets a pistol from the truck.
And at that time, boom, the gun sounded. Gun went off.
After 2 days of deliberation, the jury found Zach Adams guilty of kidnapping, rape, and the murder of Holly Bobo.
Now the man convicted of kidnapping, raping, and killing Holly Bobo is seeking an appeal.
We will prove by clear and convincing evidence Zach Adams was actually innocent of these charges.
It's perhaps Zach Adams' best shot. This new hearing will determine whether he gets a new trial. Court is expected to resume later this summer. Still, the Bobo family and the state believe the right people have been convicted of murdering Holly.
There'll never be enough punishment for him.
He don't deserve to be breathing the air that he's breathing today.
And still so many questions are thanks to Eva. For more on this story, including one of the men sentenced for the crime now recanting his earlier testimony, watch Impact by Nightline. It started with the scream, What Happened to Holly Bobo? Now streaming on Hulu.